Hey everyone, Crystal here with another sewing project, and it is of a no binding pot holder. Now, I like a traditional look, but I find sewing binding very difficult and getting it perfect every time. So I came up with a technique that works for sewing a lot of my remnants for gifts and decorations, and I want to share that with you today. It's simple, it's easy, so let's get started. Okay, so the first thing you're going to need is one printed top fabric panel and two solid bottom fabric panels. I've already pre-cut this out, but I'm going to backtrack and show you how I've got it all cut out. Then you're going to also need your heat resistance. You're going to need two pieces of that, two layers of that cut. And then you're going to need a piece of computer paper and a cup or maybe even a can. Here are the Insul-Bright, the heat resistance that I use. Okay, so my measurements to my pot holder is 9 by 8.5. 8.5 width should be fine, so you just got to measure down 9 inches and cut off that little extra panel if you're using computer paper. As you can see, 9 by 8.5. And then I'm just taking my cup and I'm rounding off those edges. So you want to get really close to it to where you're not, it's not being angled, but it's really rounded off pretty good. So I'm just going to finish it there. Okay, so I got everything cut out, as you can see, and I'm taking my wrong side of the back panels and I'm facing the shiny side of the heat resistance to it. I don't think it really matters how you face it, but I am just doing it that way. I'm putting those two together to both of my back panels, and I'm going to go ahead and pin it all up. And I'm going to go ahead and baste right on the edge of both panels. Make sure it's really secure so it doesn't shift a lot. Then real quick, I'm going to also cut a hang strip, my hanging tab basically at 8 by 2. That's just how I did mine. It depends on how long you want yours to be. Okay, on my top panel, I'm going to base stitch at 3/4 of an inch all the way around. And as you can see, I have based a stitch on both of those panels close to the edge, and I did this on at 3/4 from the edge. And I'm showing it from the back so you can see the stitch. It's kind of blended in there a little. Just to mention, make sure you're pressing as you go. I'm not going to demonstrate everything, but it's important to press as you go. Now I'm going to go ahead and do my hang tab, and I'm folding it half, and I'm just going to press it. Then I'm going to fold the ends and press that as well, and just have it to where I can sew that down on one edge. So right here on the front panel, I'm going to cut half of that off so I can go ahead and press everything down. And then I'm going to clip only pretty much right here at the curves on all four sides, just to kind of make it easier to press that curve down. So first I press down my four sides first, and then I'm gonna go back in and I'm going to start tucking down each of the curves. And I'm just going to be real careful to make sure I don't see the points. I'm going to round that off as I go. If your stitching is not perfect, it's a little, going to be a little bumpy. So as you can see, I pressed everything down, and now it's ready to add to one of the panels. So as you can see, I added it in, and you're gonna, looks like you got I got my pens in there, and I laid that down as flat as I could, and I am going to sew right on the edge. As you can see here, I have it sewn. It's sewn right on the edge, and I have my hang tab ready. So it's stitched and ready to go. I'm trying to bring into focus, but you see that it's been stitched. And then I'm going to go ahead and get that folded up. I'm clipping off some extra threads. I'm folding it. You want it really close and you want to sew it through the narrow area like that, pretty much right across. And then I'm going to put it close to the top part of that curve on, it looks like on the left side, however you want yours to hang. That's where you want to put it. And so I've done that at angle, as you can see right there on the edge, kind of close to that edge stitch. And I'm facing both panels pretty much together. Now looking at the side with all the stitching, you're going to put a stitch in between. Well, I'll say focus on the inner stitching because that's where what you're going to see on the other side. So you want to make sure that's an equal distance from your new stitch. I've sewn a 1/2 inch in and it was pretty consistent all the way through, but you want to keep your eyes focused on that inner circle, inner stitching as you sew. Oh, and also just remember to leave an opening at the bottom so you can turn it right side out. Okay, so guess what? We are almost done. As you can see, I got that stitching done. It's right there in the middle. It's pretty consistent with the inner circle stitching or squared stitching. And I'm going ahead and I'm cutting off a little bit of the edge. You got to be careful because it does look messy, but you're going to cut off that edge. Just make sure you're not going into that stitch you just did. So I'm cutting that off. I'm making sure I'm rounding it off. I'm getting really close. I got still, my loop is intact. And when you get to the bottom, you want to make sure you don't cut down there. Please do not cut at the bottom at all. Just leave that cut. Make sure you're rounding off when you're cutting. And now, as you can see, I am turning and throwing stuff and turning the right sides out. I'm straightening it out. Doesn't it look good? Well, not quite yet. It's almost there. Just love the holidays. I hope you do too. Don't forget, please like this video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and look, check it out, you guys. It's done. Well, almost done. Okay, so we have the opening here. We're going to close that up with this next round, depending on how long it is, or you might have to just do a whip stitch in there, or a little edge stitch if you want to use your machine. Okay, looks like one more last stitch. It's going to be a top stitch or edge stitch, like right there, almost in the crease between those layers. If it's not necessarily going to be right in there, but it's going to be as close that you can to the edge here. As you can see, you're going to sew right there on the edge. It's just going to put that finish on there, and it might even close the bottom. And there it is. So I did the stitch and now I'm going to press it out for you. Okay, so if it didn't fully close at the bottom, you can put like a hand stitch in there, but pretty much that's it. Done. You just have one last step, pressing. So this is just like the finish. Okay, so this is it right here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to press up, down, left, and right. And what I'm doing is pushing that excess. And on this one, it didn't seem to have a lot of excess. I actually was able to pin everything down really good, but I'm just pressing left, right, up, and down to get all that excess to push into the crease. And that's how the pot holders actually kind of look. They got that little edge, just a little puffy. But it looks really good. You could put little stitches in there, diagonal stitches that you see in some pot holders. But pretty much that's it. And it comes out so good. It looks almost as if you put binding on the edges. Check it out. How does that look? I'm so excited. Yeah, so the pressing just kind of hides the top stitch a little extra so you don't really see it as much. So what do you think? Looks good, right? These no binding pot holders are pretty easy, nothing to it, just to do it. Of course, with a little practice. But there you have it. Thanks for watching. I appreciate your time. Please like the video and subscribe. Until next time, have a good one. Happy holidays.